shit.
plus
Are we
a
talking about?
very important.
Are we gonna talk about REM sleep, lucid dreaming? Like you want to get into that shit? Come on now.
Important thing is that in the middle of your point you cut out, bro, and everybody noticed. So that's why you
Yeah.
couldn't finish it.
Yeah. So basically, Rebel, just a little bit quicker when you're delivering your point. That's all. And whatever you
Okay,
got to say
listen.
to us.
English is not my first. I have to figure out
I
the
agree.
lingo I'm using.
Hang on. Just cut down the pauses. That's all we're saying. Your pause is just way too long. People are yawning,
How-
literally.
How dare
Listen.
you not speak perfect English, dude?
You
Yeah,
speak
listen.
pretty-
When I pause, it's for
How dare
dramatism. Okay,
I
it's
will give,
dramatic
yeah,
pause.
I know, but sometimes that can be a bit of a bore, yeah?
Okay, let me speak quickly. Let's see if we can catch up. Okay,
All right, don't take the piss. Just keep your-
copyright
Earl,
is not the same as
does
censorship.
Earl have an input? Does Earl
Copyright
have
is
an
a
input?
tool that is being used by the censors that are willing to suppress certain point of views, and
Yes.
they apply it selectively. That's all I'm trying to say.
Thank
Is
you.
that fast enough?
That was lovely. That was
Okay.
perfect. 10 out of 10. You pass your English examination. Thank you. Oral. Your English oral examination is a clear win.
Okay, you would know best than I am because you are the English teacher.
Thank you very much for that. Yes, that's what I'm saying to you. Just speed it up a little bit, and no one will jump in, because if you take too long, they want to make their point, and they get a bit impatient.
To be fair, Jane. To be fair, you also bring very good points like he just did. But sometimes you take a long time to explain things, so it's
And I'm
pretty
guilty.
similar.
I'm guilty, and I do try to speed it up. And if I'm taking too long, I do apologise for it when I realise.
Have you guys read Socrates?
But Jen,
you read Socrates?
Didn't you say, Jen, that the reason why you do that is because you're a fat person? Wasn't that the reason?
No, because he's black.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's because you're fat. Or
black.
Was that someone else who said that?
Dude, are you smoking?
Someone else said that, not me. I didn't
Yes.
say that.
Okay. So look, whoever's smoking, whatever the shit you're smoking,
Right on.
we're not on the
Right
same.
on.
We're not on the same vibe. Okay.
Okay.
Just don't fucking interrupt. Don't make mockery. This is very serious fucking discussion. Serious questions, serious answers. When you bring your fucking smirky ass into the conversation, you're making a mockery of it. Okay.
Wow.
Shut the fuck up, man.
Rebel, if you want to be a big boy, LARPy serious man, you can go play Risk with your 13-year-old friend, son. Come on now, we're in
Troll
a Discord
gazer,
channel.
shut
Of
the
course
fuck
there's gonna
up,
be
you
banter.
asshole.
Of course there's going to be banter. Of course there's going to be jokes. Just be real about it.
Dude, I don't mind jokes at all. Okay, but wait the fucking turn. Okay.
Okay, let's move it on now, guys. Right.
Gentlemen, can I ask
When did I not wait my turn?
Gentlemen, can I ask?
That's an irrelevant argument.
Okay, someone else
Yes,
wants to ask a
there's a
now.
question.
Yes, please.
Ask your question. Yes, please. Thank you.
Ask the question. Please ask away.
Thank you. I've had a report from the live stream. Can we monitor the language, the swearing, please? There's
Okay.
Older and younger members of the community not too impressed with it. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Get that in your head,
Wait, can I
guys.
ask you a question? Can I ask you a question, sir? Can I give
go
a
ahead,
reply?
but no foul language. Keep it clean.
Is he still here? Can I give a reply?
He's still
always
here. Come
Yeah,
on.
man. Yeah, I'm always here. Ask away.
Sir, so what was the original question? Can you repeat it, please?
No, the original question was, can we mind the foul language because there's mums and little kiddies there listening and they're not impressed with it. Okay?
Thank you, Jim. Thank you.
Yeah.
That will be nice, but sometimes people are gonna use words.
Asking.
Yeah,
thank
but
you very
let's
much
try
for
and
asking this
tone it
question
down.
to the
Let's try and
community.
tone it down. That's all. Get your point across. There's no need to use foul language. I'm sure you can do that.
May I ask? Whereabouts are you asking this question from?
Me?
Japan.
Yeah, thank you. Japan.
No, the original lad that was coming in here asking a question. That's what I'm referring to.
Okay.
Uzbekistan.
Or is he-
Uzbekistan.
Did
He's
he
from
just
the
leave?
UK. I would imagine he's from the UK, England. That's all I'm going to
From,
say.
Why isn't he still on the line, though? I mean, if
I'm
these
from
guys are
Scotland,
going to ask a
mate.
question, we should keep them on the line, right?
What
Why?
does it matter?
Exactly.
Are lines flat or
It
curved?
seems to be the honest and righteous thing to do, in my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong. Do you guys think I'm wrong?
Yeah, you're
Yes.
absolutely wrong.
Is it a
And
requirement? Is it
I
a
think-
requirement?
you are trolling. You're trolling the fuck out of this conversation. So what the
mind your
fuck is your
language.
agenda, dude?
Mind your language, okay?
For the love of God.
Come on now. If you start a radio channel and I call you and I say, hey, I wanna, and you make this announcement, hey, we're gonna accept questions, and you announce the number, and then I call in and I say,
I'll
hey,
hang-
yeah,
I'll hang
I
up
would
on you.
hang up on you. If
Yeah,
you
once
called,
I knew
would
it was
hang
you, I'll
up
hang
on
up.
you. You are fucking annoying today, Swan. And I'm really nice all the time, but you're fucking annoying.
Well, there you go. And that's a woman, Stacey, telling you that. Okay, there you go. Right. And you were doing so good, Swan
What?
Gazer. You did a great presentation earlier. Fantastic. On the money. Loved it.
Who, Rebel? Rebel had a good conversation earlier.
Yeah, I heard that as well. I was right there listening all the way.
No,
It was good.
I just think it's weird that, why can't we talk to the guy who's calling into the conversation? I wanted to actually understand
He
this
actually
guy's point
has.
of view.
He actually did ask a few questions, and we had a little rapport earlier. And now he's busy listening, and when he's ready to come in, he's coming at his own time.
Oh, so it's like replay based? So it's like recorded stuff, or what's the story there?
Role play.
Why are we going to look? Let's drop this line of questioning. Let's move on with the flat Earth, right?
Oh,
It's not
okay.
Let's
Go
just
on.
move on. Come on, Swan Gazer. You know what's going on. You're on the money. You're on the ball. You know it. Don't wreck it yet. Don't make it a shit
Well,
show.
I know it. I know too.
Don't make it a poo-poo show. Sorry, get that right. Yeah. Let's keep it clean. We don't want to bring out the tissue papers and nappy wipes, do we? Right. You know.
Well,
Just speak up.
I wanted to. Yeah.
Just pick up the toys and go back to the corner, okay?
Tidy up. Put away your toys.
Back to the carpet. Take the toys and back to the carpet.
All right, guys. Just so you know,
Got it.
the trolls like Swan here is what prevents me from coming here every day.
Yeah,
I'm coming
Swan's
here
not
with a
trolling
very.
every day, though. He's not here every day.
I'm coming here with a very serious intention and confronting flat earthers and globe earthers for the matter of fact.
Right.
With my opinions only, right? But when it comes down to this, to somebody like Swan, cheating and trolling entire
Rebel.
time we talked. Okay,
Rebel.
this is not fun. Okay, there's a time for jokes. There's a time for serious questions and answers. There's times for jokes. And if this guy doesn't realize when it's his time to speak and interject, it makes it really hard for me to translate my message.
Okay.
Speaking the
Fair
second
enough.
language.
I mean, I'm with you. I'm with you. If you're saying that, yeah, you have kind of a hierarchical role than me.
He doesn't.
Experience.
He's not saying,
No, I'm not. I'm
he's
not.
not saying
Right?
that.
Lifetime role.
Dude,
But
this is the cue
the
for you
reality-
to just keep quiet. No, it's not your
No.
reality. No, it's not reality. Just keep quiet, please, for 1 second. It's not your reality. Whatever you're smoking and playing
Okay.
and having this chat on as a sidekick,
All right.
it doesn't work for everybody. Okay, I'll tell you that.
Okay.
It doesn't work for most
Especially you,
people
right?
in this chat, especially me. But I'm speaking for the most people in this chat. Okay.
You are?
You're not. Yeah, absolutely, yes, I am. It
Wow.
doesn't help. Yes, I do.
Claim. You're speaking on behalf of most of the people in the chat, right?
Absolutely, yes, I
People are
do.
in the chat,
But more
viewing
importantly,
and in the voice chat.
the owner of the server. He wouldn't appreciate it if you're coming on drugged up, drunk, and making a mockery. That doesn't really help because it's going out live, yeah? So I don't advise anyone drinking and then coming on trying to have a debate or a discussion because it's not going to work. The odd joke is fine, great, but remember, it's going out live. It's not your Discord. It's not yours. Don't wreck it. I was reminded that the other day. So, and I'm taking that seriously because that's how I came in. Very respectful. So let's keep it clean, please. That's all. It's not my server, not yours, yeah?
Agreed.
So put a cork in it, Swan.
Hey, I'm done with it, man. I'm not here to make a battle.
Swan, put yourself on mute. Just enjoy the conversation. Okay, dude? Play
So
whatever game you're playing.
Can someone explain the inverse something law? What's it? Come on, with the
Inverse square law.
Inverse square law. Let's have something on that one. Yeah, that one. That one gets me.
Yeah, it's like me and Rebel. It's like I'm the flat Earth, Rebel's the globe Earth. Yeah.
Right now, the inverse square law. Astronauts are going to the moon, and how does that apply to the moon as the craft is approaching the moon? Shouldn't it get so bright that they're blind according to the inverse square law? Please explain. Can someone?
So there is a common misconception, and Globebusters primarily the ones to blame for it. Although I love the crew, I love every single one of them. But the inverse square law, as it pertains to the moon, is misconstrued when it comes to the distance. As you approach the moon, let's imagine you like astronaut and approaching the moon, even though that's not the reality. But from the mathematical point of view, you will only calculate the degree of the intensity of light according to the field of view. Once the moon fills the size of a field view, it's no longer the matter of the inverse square law equation. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you can approach the moon.
At the same time, once you go out onto the ocean, the law of curvature no longer applies. It's a relative thing of like the people who are witnessing the leveling of the ocean, they go, well, I accept the lie now. And then they
Swan, you are so off the effing topic, man.
Yeah, you're off the effing topic.
Could you please mute yourself?
It's a parallel on the people.
No, it is not even the parallel.
But yeah, go on. Nobody cares.
Somebody mute Swan.
No, I didn't want to do it. But it looks like I'm going to have to do it. I'm going to give him one more chance.
No. Don't give him a chance. He's just stoned right now off his rockers. Just do him a favor. Mute him so he doesn't embarrass his sorry ass. Just mute him, okay? He's gonna thank you for it.
Well, hey, I'm stoned, and I'm behaving.
Well, you're the behaving kind of stoned.
I can't mute him. I can't server mute him. I'm not. He's lucky. He's escaped it. The lucky sod. That's why he's the way he's clever. I can't get him. Someone else. We need a mod really to do that. I can't do it, unfortunately.
So it goes like this. If you imagine the light bulb, right? Let's say LED light. Let's say the size of your block, right? Your ordinary block. Let's say 100 yards by 100 yards, right? And it's positioned a mile away from you, right? With let's say lumens, certain lumens, 1 million lumens. As you approaching it, right? You're going to increase your lumens with the inverse square law.
That's right. Yeah.
Right.
This is what we're talking about.
It is only true for as long as this surface of this LED light is not filling your entire field of view. As soon as you pass the point where it's filling your entire field of view, the radiation of that LED light is going to escape in the direction it's not even approaching you even remotely. So your field of view is going to be decreasing dramatically, where it's capturing less and less light as you're approaching closely and closer to it. So when you're, let's say, a millimeter away from it, you're only observing tiny bit of its radiation. So you cannot claim when you're like a millimeter away from it, you capturing entirety of this LED light bulb radiation. It's just not true.
Well, I mean, The reason I asked that is because we're going to carry on what you're saying. I'm in my spacecraft. I'm approaching the moon. The light's going to get brighter and brighter and brighter. This thing's getting larger and larger. So I'm sure that I'm going to have to be using my filters, optic, on my helmet, so I can actually see where I'm going. Otherwise, I'm going to be blinded by the lights. Surely. Remember,
Yes,
we can see
you
this,
will be.
We can see this thing from supposedly 238,000 miles away on
Right.
Earth, and I'm seeing this thing. It's bright already. It lights up my streets here in
Yes.
Japan. I can see the road markings.
I don't agree.
As I approach this thing, my eyes are going to fall out. Surely.
Okay. Yeah. Well, listen, I'm not disagreeing with you. There's a nuance, and it's very important. There's a devil in the details. I'm sorry, dude, but it's a very common misconception. When you observe the moon from the surface of the Earth, it has a certain intensity. When you're imagining yourself being an astronaut, I'm not saying it's true for the sake of argument, being on the surface, you're only absorbing the radiation immediately surrounding you, not the entire surface of the moon or even the half of it, not even the third or a quarter or the 10th or the 20th. It's like a thousandth or not millionth of the radiation of the moon.
So the reason why I say that is, have you ever looked at your car headlights and look at it? And you can't look at it for long because you're going to blind your eyes. Yes or no?
Absolutely. But imagine you are the size of the ant, right?
Yep.
You're the ant, and I take you with my fingers very gently, and I put you right next to a millimeter away from the halogen bulb that emits the light.
Right, on the headlight, halogen bulb.
You as an ant will not experience the entirety of the radiation of the entire light bulb, because you will only be exposed to the immediate vicinity of the radiation of the element that you close to, not the entire array of elements in the light bulb.
Wouldn't that be enough to blind you, though? That's my point here.
No. If you close enough, okay, think of it as a fire. Maybe fire is a better example. Okay, have you ever been close to the bonfires?
Yeah, I've made fires so many times, it's unbelievable. Yeah, go ahead.
Awesome. You're lucky guy, and I envy you. So if you imagine a fire, right?
Yeah.
So when you're close to the bonfire, huge fire, right? It's really, really hot.
Absolutely.
It's
hot.
blinding.
You can't stay there for long. You got to back off.
Exactly. The closer you get. So now imagine I'm taking the twig from the fire, which makes the totality of the fire, which is like hundreds of twigs, and I bring it outside the fire and I put you close to it. You're not going to experience the same heat.
No, but when that twig is with the rest of the fire and I get close, it's hot. This is what I'm talking about, the inverse square law. As you get closer, it's going to be the intensity of the brightness will blind you. That's what we're
intensity of
brightness.
But in
reality, if I may add this, in reality, the sun's reflectivity is no more than really, according to the image that we got from NASA, right, when they were on the moon, and they're looking at the surface that they were walking on, supposedly, that surface had no more reflectivity than the tarmac asphalt outside your house, on the motorways, on the highways, on your street, which is what they said, 7%. That's it. Okay, that's what they said. According to the images that NASA gives us, all those photographs, which numbered, what was it now? 5,700 odd, or 7,731 photographs they took combined. That's the 6 missions combined, 7,731 roughly. And from those images, when you look at the soil they're walking on, the reflectivity of that soil was 7%. So, even though that's what they tell us, when we look at the moon, I'm saying if we look at the moon and take it for what it is, it's a luminary. If I was going to approach that and keep on going towards it, it would get brighter and brighter and brighter to the point where I'm going to have to need my filter lens on my.
yes, you are correct.
Right, that's what I'm talking about.
My only point was the law of inverse square does not
Yeah.
apply when you're certain distance to the surface. It just doesn't.
Okay, so then let's talk about how the inverse square law does apply.
Yes, it does apply as far as you experience the entire surface area. This inverse square law applies. As soon as it's at the surface of the entire object goes beyond your interaction with it, meaning you don't experience the radiation, you're too close to it, meaning the rest of the surface just emanates past you, you no longer experience that phenomena. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, on the subject of the moon, I can talk forever, right? I mean, first and foremost, moonlight is cold. I don't know if you realize it or not.
Yeah, I
but it
realize
is-
that. Yeah, that I'm aware
Okay.
of it. Yeah.
So if you're aware of it, right? So the halfway to the moon, they would have experienced temperatures twice as cold in the light of the moon. I don't know if you realize it. There is documentary of the Neil Armstrong talking about how they navigated to the moon.
Yeah,
Right?
I saw it. I saw
Okay,
it.
so they were talking about they were about halfway. They were Lagrange point, right? And there's 1,000 things wrong with it, but
Yeah,
But
I
just-
mean, the video I watched was actually breaking down all the lies. But yeah, I watched it anyway. Yeah, I definitely watched that one a few times. But carry on.
yeah, but regardless, the inverse square law, which has never been addressed, never ever been addressed.
No.
That's why I'm intentionally going past this, because in the conversation in the documentaries, pro or con, it was never addressed. But what I'm saying is, when Neil Armstrong talks about navigating to the moon in one of the documentaries that they made, he was talking about being in the midpoint, not necessarily midpoint, but mathematically it's a Lagrange point. They were talking. They were asked, "How did you navigate to the moon? Because you only have very limited view. How did you do that?" And you know what he said? He said, "Most appalling thing you can ever fucking imagine." Sorry for my French, but he said they pointed the spacecraft at the moon. So now to say that. At the time, I heard it at the time. I took it as like gospel, right? Oh, okay, that makes sense. That only makes sense if moon is stationary, right? You can point to it.
Yeah.
But if it moves, I mean, you can point to it, but you will miss it by thousands of fucking miles by the time you're there.
Yeah, you've got to make corrections. That's a good point. Excellent point.
You can't aim at it when you're midway through it. That only works at the first levels. That's what I'm saying. The lie is different at every level. Once you reach inverse square law, it's the first level. Second level, okay, well, how does space works? Third level, okay, how does gravity works?
Yeah.
Fourth level is how does electronics work? The radio emission of the frequency of the television and audio. And there's so many different levels.
Yeah.
At any level, it's a complete fiasco. But
it is. And the most
First
important stumbling block in all that is, of course, the second law of thermodynamics, and then the actual environment that they supposed went into. The radiation levels would have killed everyone. And
yeah, you're black leveling it. Like it's to me it's a black belt argument, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Space, vacuum versus pressurized atmosphere.
Yeah.
Although as simple as it is to you and me,
right?
For me, it's a black belt level argument.
Yeah.
People don't fucking comprehend it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for the F-bomb. They just don't. I spoke to many.
Yeah.
It's not that they are dumb. It's just the psyche. It's almost like a mind tries to protect its own sanity by denying the obvious. You know what I'm saying?
They don't want to have a meltdown. That's what it is.
Yeah,
They don't want to have a meltdown.
Just speak to my ex. You can't portray what's obvious, because for them to accept obvious means the whole world just collapsed under their knees.
Exactly, under their knees.
Yes,
it's all gone. It's gone. That's it.
And they don't do it consciously. That's what it's not happening consciously. So when we're talking about space versus a vacuum of space versus pressurized atmosphere. It's almost like we're talking. We are tackling subconscious level, which is great, but most people don't operate there.
No.
They just don't.
Yeah. That was a great.
We're going to talk about Cavendish so-called experiment without even knowing what the title of a Cavendish experiment actually is. What the dude is trying to prove in his thesis, right?
Yeah.
And then they don't even know where the curvature comes from, which is Alberoni, how they measured it. They know nothing about the subject. It's funny to us, but it's not funny to them. And I really empathize with them because it's like they've been thrown into physics class, and let's say they're a first grader, they're thrown into the physics class of the university of like your third degree, right?
Right.
You're taking the third course in the physics in the university. You on the way to PhD. The first grader, third grader being thrown in there, they're gonna act very, rambunctious. They're gonna be like, they're gonna think that they know it all. They just don't realize where they are.
Yeah, that's right.
So I'm not saying they're stupid or dumb. It's just I'm talking about like different levels. So when a lot of times you hear me, I'm saying, okay, don't go into the weeds. What I mean by that. Don't go black belt, man. These guys are like on the level 1. You go on level 10. Yes, it's a great argument. They're not gonna get it.
Yeah,
you're more than welcome.
I do try to avoid the weeds generally, and I do try and break it down into the ABC 1, 2, 3 styly, so they can actually understand and comprehend. That's what I always try to do. But I always also make sure that they understand that it doesn't matter if you say you disagree. This is a fact. So it's like disagreeing that it's like disagreeing. You need air to live. Okay, right. That's what you're doing. I'm not making up. I don't make the rules up. This is the fact. Laws of nature. You can't violate them. Okay, so you either accept them and respect them and live with them in harmony, or you be you living in a fantasy. I don't want to do that. So that's what you're doing, though. So I go that far to get them to understand what they're doing, because as you say, they don't quite get it, but they seem to be doing something wrong. And I like to highlight that. I like to bring that forth.
I'm sorry, man. That's wrong. I have so many times I've interrupted you, and I'm very sorry for it.
No problem. Go ahead.
Today, before, and weeks ago, it's because you're going black belt on somebody who just came into the conversation.
Yeah. No worries.
Yeah, but that's the thing. And you got upset at me for that. And what I'm saying is, okay, we'll just go with what they say. Just don't throw the inverse square law or gravity or anything else. You know what I'm saying? Go with what they have said. Is the thing is, okay, listen. They tell you exactly where they are about what they say.
Right.
For us to bring anything else is just not helping, okay? We just go with what they say.
I agree with that, but my
somebody says today, okay, the size of the moon, the width of the moon. Okay, I didn't have to bring the inverse square law. I didn't have to bring the refraction of atmosphere. I didn't have to bring any of that. I'm just going with where they are at the moment making their argument.
Yeah.
I'm not claiming they're dumb. I'm not claiming they're like cannot comprehend. It's just where they are. And I'm just moving them from where they are.
Actually, I am very good at gauging that. 95% of the time, I am always keeping it on key to their level. The only time I press home maybe is when they start to obfuscate, and they start to rig around. But I bring them back to their reality, and that is, you are denying the truth. I don't make this up. That's what that tends to be my approach. I'm not. So I don't tsunami them with technicalities. I don't.
You do though. You're making. Hold on. You're making statements more often than not, rather than asking questions. So to me, I'm more of a like a Socratic method. I'm just going with the question.
Now I understand what you mean. Yeah, I give them facts though. That's what I'm giving them. Facts. They can then go away and look at these facts and then come back and say, yes, you're right, or I disagree with here and there and there. I've got to do that. Otherwise, we have no conversation. You have your way. I have mine. That's what I
Yeah, you
remember.
can
I
do
remember
that.
saying
No,
that.
for sure.
Thank
For
you.
sure, you can do that. Or you can ask them
I have
questions.
my way, and it gets results for sure. Because at the end of the day, when
Okay, it's not a
they're
pissing
thinking
context.
about
Okay.
what I've said, and if
Okay.
I've said to
Fine.
them they're in a fantasy world, that's going to that's going to reverberate through their life for a long time. For a long time.
I'm saying, in my opinion, there's a way more sophisticated way of doing this, and you
Yeah,
feel free to
yeah.
disagree with me. Okay.
No, no, no.
If
I
you
agree.
have
I'm
you
not a
have children,
sophisticated
right?
guy.
You have children.
Yeah, I've got 4 boys, of course, and they know the
4
obvious
boys.
plan.
Right. Congratulations. I have 2. So
Right.
to my older one, if I come across as stating the fact,
Mm.
I'm absolutely 100% going to lose his attention.
I don't
Because
lose my attention with my children when I do. I don't. You know what I mean?
I do.
Yeah, I
Because
don't.
they may agree, or they may pretend they agree or understand. The fact that I've stated the fact doesn't mean they agree with it. Right? What the approach I'm taking is by Socratic method. I'm asking questions. I'm
Yeah.
letting them arrive to the conclusion I have arrived myself.
Yeah.
I'm not
yeah,
stating
yeah,
what
I
the
do that.
conclusion is. I'm just leading them alone. I'm not saying what it is.
Mm.
Because if it's true, regardless the personality, they're going to arrive at it once you ask the right
maybe, yeah,
questions.
no, I'm helping them to get to learn what's going on in the world and to give them the answers to questions that I never got answered to when I was younger growing up. So I'm giving them those answers quickly, right? And when
Well,
it comes to
I'm
this
glad it works
earth,
for you. It doesn't
yeah,
work for me.
It works for me because where we live now, they know they're having discussions with their friends. That and that's great. Look, I told one student he goes to Tokyo University of Science and Physics, and they're having a debate in there. They're calling me at like 1, 2 in the morning. So it does work. It just depends on the individual. And my approach is one of informing them of the facts, then go look and prove me wrong. So they go off and they do the research. My children, they know that the earth is flat because 1, they've experienced it. 2, I've asked them the questions to ensure that they understand what I have told them. And they know.
And
They
that's the
know
key,
it's
yes.
flat. They know.
Not only-
They know. I want them to know the earth very well indeed. Can they make a fire and survive if I'm not there? Yes, they can. Can they cook food? Yes, they can. Can they wash their clothes? Yes, they can. Can they repair things? Yes, they can. That's why I said I'm not just your dad. I'm your teacher. I'm your father. I'm your friend. Okay? Because when I die and I'm gone, I want to know that I've prepared you to survive whilst I am not here. My legacy must live on in you because I taught you how to survive on this earth. No one's going to help you to do this. That's my job. So no one will tell me that I'm a bad father, or only my children will tell me that. And they know for sure that your role in life is not to be scared of daddy. If daddy is wrong, you say daddy is wrong. Okay? Because that's life. That's the freedom. Don't be afraid of me. Okay? I'm just your father because I was responsible for you to be born through your mother.
Okay,
Yeah?
Junkie Bar.
So that's it.
Junkie Bar.
Right.
For what it's worth, I don't know you from Adam.
No, you do not. That's correct.
Okay. So just by the way you speak, I'm
Yeah.
genuinely afraid of you. Genuinely.
Well, I don't know why
tell
you
me-
would be. Why would you be afraid
No,
of me?
okay, no, don't ask me questions. This is just straight talk. I'm genuinely
Question.
afraid.
Why would you be scared of me? Why would you be
So
scared?
because the degree of assertiveness you come across with, whether you realize you're right or wrong, a lot of times people don't even bother challenging you because they're afraid of you blowing your gasket. So to avoid the conflict, people's gonna go. Listen, Junkie Bar, please, Junkie Bar.
No,
You've been talking, Junkie Bar, please, Junkie Bar. That's the point. No, Junkie Bar, that's the point I'm trying to make. You don't let me speak.
He doesn't. They're
Junkie Bar, that's the point. That's exactly the point I'm trying to make. You don't let others speak.
I don't blow my top. No, I don't.
Okay.
I don't blow my top. Not with my children.
I'm not saying you are. I'm saying there is a perception that you're about to.
No need for you to be afraid of me. That's a ridiculous.
Can
You're
I
having
say
a laugh.
something on this?
Yeah.
Yeah, James.
Because I've been listening for a while,
Yeah.
and I agree on both you guys. At the same time, Jen's not scary, especially when you talk about we're doing debates and stuff like that, back and forth. some people come in here and they may be, why are you yelling? It's because it's what's happening on the server. If we have debates and there's yelling and stuff like that, that's what's going to continue to happen sometimes on live stream or whatever too, because that energy transfers. Okay, so I completely get Rebel too, because normal people in the street, you can't approach them like that. They have no understanding of thermodynamics. They have no understanding of any of this stuff we're talking about. So for us to be like, how can you not get it? You know, it's ridiculous, because in reality, nobody gets it besides us here on this server. So I understand both of you. I've always been about the approach and delivery, but in reality, you guys, we shouldn't be bringing up each other's kids, because I know Jen is a very good father, and let's not bring the kids into it, because I know, Jen, you're doing a wonderful job at raising your kids. And we need to be thankful that parents are actually telling their kids the truth. No matter how you tell them, it just needs to be told. The information will eventually carry out whether 20, 15, or 8. But it's about telling them the truth. So I just don't want you guys arguing. I get both you guys' opinion now, okay?
Thank you very much indeed. And on that note, I'm now going to, just for a short while, and go to the laundrette and dry my family's clothes, which my kids' clothes are part of, which I've been doing now for 21 years straight. My wife doesn't even know what the machine is, doesn't know how to use it. Such is the amount of time I'm doing this laundry. So I'll be back later on, folks. Thanks, Stacey. Excellent. Thank you. I'm off. I'm just going to go and do my laundry now. Saturday morning. It is
I wasn't taking anybody's side or anything. I'm just trying to help.
Thanks very much. Yeah, it's 10 to 7 in the morning now. Good morning, everyone.
Wow, that's early, yeah.
Right, and I'm actually behind schedule. There you go.
Yeah, it's Saturday anyways, right, for you?
Thank you. Yeah. So I'll catch you guys later.
All right, see you.
Bye, Jens.
Thanks. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, I'm happy you jumped in there, Stacey.
Any
That was
Globers in here?
No, thank you guys.
DJ, are you there?
There's a couple up in VC Verify going to be coming down here shortly.
Yeah, I just thought of asking this question about satellites, because I was like reading about the geostationary satellites and the geosynchronous satellite. I just want to know how in the world, the satellite will adjust when the Earth make that tilt, 23.5 degrees tilt.
Satellites
They're gonna tilt with the Earth because they supposed not to, because the gravity is like it has a vector, so they connect it to the gravity vector, which is any point in the Earth is gonna be that's the center of the Earth. That's what they have in the model. So can you explain it to me, guys? How that's gonna happen? How this tilt with satellite? Because if I'm pointing towards the satellite and the Earth tilt, now I have to readjust my satellite. And if the satellite tilts with the Earth, you gotta tell us how, what mechanism.
Well, I could add a little bit on the satellite thing, if you don't mind.
So we're going to presuppose satellites and presuppose Earth tilt, and then hear how it works?
No, I'd just like to say something I watched, something I'm made aware of. I was made aware of some satellite dishes that were posted on the ground. And there was a guy that worked there, and he made a testimony. He said that it was he worked there for a long time, and then they finally told him the truth. And then he had quit his job because he was afraid that he was going to tell people that these satellites were aimed up at somewhere up in the sky, and they were bouncing off of something up above, and it was not a satellite. He said it was the dome, and there was hundreds of satellites on this, all lined up on the ground, huge ones, all aimed at the sky. And he testified and said that these satellites bounce off the dome and come back down, or these dishes bounce off the dome, and they are what people think are satellites. There's a video on YouTube somewhere about that, and I will try to find it.
Yeah, that makes sense, because in my country here,
Really
we point
genuine.
in one direction, towards the satellite. All the, the whole country, just
Dish
pointing
is
to
on
the
the
same.
ground.
Yep.
Good
So
done.
that's
what he
that
said.
makes sense.
Spent his whole life doing it.
But if they have explanation for that, that will be, great, because that's
true.
going to be.
I didn't see
They
it
need-
for myself. As far as absolute, I seen pictures and I heard his
Mm-hmm.
testimony, and I don't believe satellites are up there either. So
Especially with that speed,
take that however you want.
because the orbit is going to be with a speed like maybe it's going to be 2 times the speed of the sound. Because if we have the equator at the speed of sound, this should be more than that, because the orbit is more bigger. The diameter is going to be bigger. So, and to sync with the Earth's movement has to go with the speed, like the outer speed, so it catches. So it will be like geostationary. It's crazy, I don't know how they explain this.
Can I add something to that?
Especially with the gravity, they have it like, it's like towards the Earth center. So wherever you are is going to be, that's the gravity, wherever you're facing. So you are not going to adjust for that tilt. If you move, that means there is no gravity then.
So they claiming that gravity has an unlimited amount of vectors, downward vectors or something.
Wow, yeah, that's gonna be, yeah. I mean, it's gonna be like an airplane, something operating with the engine. And they don't claim the satellite have engines, so they don't like have what they call it, thrusts.
Lie detector.
I'm with you.
Oh, okay. I put a quick link into the live stream text. Are these the sort of things that you're referring to?
You posted this here, this receiver, right?
Yeah, the radio telescopes. Are they the sorts of things that you're talking about, or something totally different?
No, no. The geostationary is the one that moved with the Earth, but they are like most of them. They're in the equator, so they just move with the Earth's rotation. It's gonna be different speed, but like what they call the speed is gonna be the same, with the Earth. So to keep up with the same position with the Earth. So when people point them satellite, they're gonna point to this stationary place. They are orbiting with the Earth. They go with the Earth.
Oh, are you talking about what they call it? Geostationary orbiting or something?
Yeah, geostationary satellite. Yes.
Yeah, I've heard about that because they move with us at the same speed, but they've got to be further out, I believe. So they have to be further away from us, otherwise they end up getting pulled back in.
Okay, and when the Earth tilts, the ball, when it tilts 23 degrees, how they do that, with the Earth?
They don't.
How they make this tilt? Because the tilt is the ball, the ball, if you tilt it or, you turn it around, it's not going to change any direction, You know what I'm saying? It's a ball.
I mean, I understand how I've been told that is supposed to work. For example, if things were spherical, basically, once they send it out to where it needs to be, it literally doesn't move from that spot.
Yep.
It's like running alongside a car.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yes,
the car,
exactly.
Yeah, so the car, obviously not at high speed. I'm talking like somebody in a car doing walking speed, and you're so far away, and you're walking with the car. But if the car turns, then supposedly gravity, you don't bend as in you won't carry on going straight forwards because the pull of the car keeps you next to it. So it tracks together, parallel all the time, even if it goes around a corner. That's how I
understand it. But the tilt is not changing in a direction.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, so that's why it doesn't make sense to me.
But what they can do, and there is a documentary I watched on that, especially with the GPS stuff, they are not static satellites. They're constantly moving around. But what they can do is they do actually have small thrusters on them. And every now and again, they do change their positions so that they don't basically fall back to Earth, but eventually they will when they run out or whatever.
Yeah, that's the orbital decay, which is, like they get pulled down, That's like every year or something like that. It goes like maybe a kilometer or something like that. Even
I mean, they're supposed to burn up as they come back in, but apparently some of them don't, and they fall out the sky quite literally.
Yeah, if you don't have answer now, it's fine, but if you look for answer, that will be great,
themselves, keeping them in a perfect orbit.
Yeah. Because you have to question this model,
They eventually do. Well, where are they? When do
That's the radio telescope, right? The one that you posted.
Yep.
I have seen one yesterday or the day before yesterday. Jamesy, are you there? He posted one of these radio satellites with mysteriously, nobody knows what's the reason, according to the article.
The big ones, they're just a telescope. But they are for light that we can't see, radio waves, stuff like that, infrared. That's why they're so big.
Arecibo or something like that. Arecibo is somewhere in Puerto Rico, I think.
Yeah, the general rule of thumb is the bigger the dish, the lower the wavelength it can see. But it also depends on the sensor that they use to pick it up. There's a massive one somewhere. It is literally sunk into the ground. It's so big. But they reckon that if you were on, I think it's Jupiter, it would be able to pick up a mobile phone. It's that sensitive. Don't quote me on it. You'd have to look it up. That's if memory serves. But there is a huge one that can detect a mobile phone signal from a far-off planet in our alleged solar system.
But when they say like radio wave, that's sound? The radio wave are sound? Or?
No, radio waves, photons, electromagnetic energy, that kind of stuff.
Electro?
Radio waves like what you used to use have you ever used a remote control car?
Right, yep.
Wi-Fi, like, for example. Yeah, that's all radio waves. That's what those machines, those big dishes, are looking for.
Yeah, FM. Yeah, the FM radio. So okay.
Yep. Yeah. That's what they're looking for.
But how they travel in space?
How do they travel in space?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Because here we have the magnetic fields. We have the North Pole, the South Pole, but in space we don't have any of that. They don't have South Pole in the space.
Well, here's a weird thing. From what I understand and from what I've seen, I mean, every now and again you can look up and you can actually see what looks like a shooting star. But if you look at the pattern, and you can check them online as well, there are satellites that you can every now and again see pop over. They're tiny, tiny little things. They look like a little white dot. You could mistake them for an aeroplane sometimes. But they move too fast to be a plane, like really fast. They're in your line of view for maybe 4 minutes, if that. And they leave no trail behind them or anything. They're weird. But one thing that NASA says that they use is the gravity of other planets, like a slingshot. So there's some guy with a big brain and some weird mathematical formula says, right, we'll send it up in a rocket and we'll aim for that particular space. By the time it gets there, some weird moon or some planet will have come into range just enough to grab a hold of it with gravity, accelerate it, make it go faster, and then as it's about ready to release it, the planet or moon moves out the way and it escapes that gravity field and then moves on to the next planet, and it's like billiards.
Yeah, but that's
how I understand it.
Yeah, but it's just sounds like, mathematical equation, it's nothing like, it just doesn't make any sense, to propel in space, that's going to be impossible.
Once they're going, they can't stop them.
Yeah, because it's just nothing, I mean, very few atoms in space. So they cannot propel against anything, because when you walk, you're pushing against the...
So I thought that.
Yeah.
I thought that, but apparently, again, the engine or something, it doesn't. It's all I can describe it as is
internal, right? They said internal or something like that.
Yeah, it's like okay. Have you ever seen an image of a sailing ship with a big fan on the deck blowing wind into its own sails? Have you ever seen a picture like that?
Blowing wind?
Yeah, a bit like a. So you see.
Wind, that's fine. That's a medium. The air is the medium here.
Yeah.
But but when you when you say there is no medium, that's a problem here.
Yeah. So what they're saying that their engines do is that it's shaped in such a way where the exhaust doesn't provide any thrust anymore. What happens is inside of the bell, it creates that atmosphere pocket and it explodes within itself. The exhaust just vents out normal, but inside the bell is where the pressure's at. And it's designed so that if you imagine your hand around a wet bar of soap and you squeeze it, well, it's like that, but the opposite way around. The atmosphere is now the soap and the bell house becomes the hand. And instead of the bell house squeezing, it's the fuel burning that expands and pushes itself out, but the force is transferred into the bell first, and then it just literally drops out the back. That's if I understand it correctly. Again, you'd have to look it up.
Yeah. And beside that, the space will make these things expand, right? Any rocket or anything.
Only if it's got an atmosphere in it.
Actually, if I could jump in real quick, you guys.
Yeah.
I had debated a globalist about 4 weeks ago, who claimed to be a rocket scientist. He offered me to read a book. Okay, that if I read this book, I would understand orbital mechanics. And Nathan Thompson was there for that too. So it was actually quite interesting because his whole case pivoted on this chapter 6 of this orbital mechanics book. And I had the updated version because I have Kindle Unlimited. So basically, once we broke down all the mathematical formulas, they all assume a flat and stationary Earth. All the rocket, the trajectory of the satellites, all assume a stationary Earth from the starting point. And then the second point is the only time they actually referenced anything to do with curvature or rotation is that they said it takes slightly less rocket fuel to launch at the equator if you want to achieve a low orbit. Only if you want to achieve low orbit. Mm-hmm. So that's the only. There's one sentence in the whole damn book that even offered a hinting at a heliocentric model. So just so you guys, when you hear someone say, "Hey, I understand orbital mechanics," then finally, I actually went to the some other people. I said, "At what level of rocket science do you finally start worrying about orbital mechanics and stuff like that? What level do you start factoring in a rotating, spinning Earth?" This is only if you were going to break orbit of Earth and go into an orbit of another celestial body. That's the only time you would ever worry about the actual shape and size of the object you are orbiting. Until that point, you would assume whatever object you're orbiting is flat and stationary.
Wow. That's yeah, I've seen that. You know, I have the document. You know, it's NASA's document. It says that, you know, you non-rotating atmosphere.
Yep.
And flat surface.
Yeah, even if you look at this textbook was an undergraduate orbital mechanics book. All the problems in the back of the book, you know, to see comprehension-wise, none of them even hinted. None of them even got close to hinting at something that would be basically what they're getting at here is from low orbit, the Earth is still flat and stationary. That's really the bottom line.
Yeah, that's weird, you know. I mean,
the only time you're at some point. So this is really the groundbreaking nitty gritty cowbell. Is that the only time anyone has ever used mathematics that determined a rotating Earth was when they flew to the moon, and that was 50 years ago, and they don't even have the data for that anymore. Those mathematical formulas are gone.
Yeah, they destroyed. They said
they destroyed it. Yeah, all that telemetry data. All that telemetry data is gone. So there is no. So people say mathematically a orbital mechanic problem proves the globe. No, it doesn't. Mathematically, orbital mechanics assume a flat and stationary Earth.
Yep.
And I did a lot of reading those time in a orbital mechanics book that was way above my pay grade, just to fish out the bits and pieces. And I had basically the only point I conceded was there was one sentence in there that talked about a slightly less rocket fuel if you launch from the equator. But if you look in real life, no one launches from the equator, not even close.
No, I live close to the equator. I never seen one. So we should be seeing, you know, like plenty of them, you know, like they.
Yeah, there would be at some point if it was that.
Was 3 days ago, yeah. So
yeah, if it was that much cheaper, right? If money is the issue, they say we can't go to space because there's not enough money. Launch from the equator, then, right?
Yep.
If you only have $100, right? You don't go out to dinner for 110.
No.
Also, you're going to be able to save money on the rocket.
The short way and the least expensive, you know. So
yeah, here, Nathan, you want to add in?
You'd be able to save money on the rocket design because you wouldn't have to take as much fuel. You wouldn't have to build as much of a rocket. So you'd be able to have a more compact rocket. You'd be able to do more of these. I mean,
that's what my follow-up question to this guy was. So therefore, if I agree with you that the book says here that you need to launch from the equator is cheaper, less expensive, then why don't they do it? He said political reasons. I was like, what? What are you talking? Why? Okay, why is there political aspects here? Like, can't you just find some equator-based nation and be like, I'm going to build Rocket Disneyland in your backyard? Are you up for that?
Yeah, they would love that.
I'm sure my country they don't have any ability to fire at this rocket if they cross our country air border, air space, so they cannot.
Yeah, especially when it's American. I just did Google. I just Googled how many nations have boundaries inside the equator. And apparently there was like 23 or something like that. Yeah. But I guess there's 12 of them that would be considered direct allies of America even.
And who has the power of missile to hit, if you cross the, the airspace of your country, there is no one, has that ability in these countries, especially in the African continent,
Yeah, so you look at this: Ecuador, Colombia, Brazil, Gamba, Congo, the Dominican Republic of Congo, Uruguay, Kenya, Somalia, Maldives, Indonesia, and Kyrgyzstan. Now, one of those countries are like, come here and build a rocket launch site. None of them are up for that.
Don't they test in like Kazakhstan too, which is like nowhere near the equator? Wouldn't they be doing tons of tests?
Yeah, it's way. If you look at the globe as a map, it's completely batshit crazy. Where they launch from. If they say if the orbital mechanic book was, I think it was like one of those hypothetical questions. That's why I said, what if the whole thing was just a hypothetical symposium about if you did something, it would mean something. You know, like if you were able to launch from the equator, it might or might not.
Yeah, it's crazy though. I mean, it's absurd. I don't know how they do it that way.
Sorry, I missed that last part. I had a quick little phone call there.
Yeah, like Mars, I see it always like behind the moon, you know. And when they try to get to Mars, they're supposed to shoot like right up to the moon, you know, because Mars is like just located behind it, you know. So why they shoot different ways, you know? Like the other day, they launched it like from Japan or something like that, you know. And the moon usually is like south for the people in northern hemisphere, like Japan, America, Canada, and all these countries. They suppose when you look at the moon rise, it's gonna be coming from the south. So we never seen him shooting at the south. I wonder why.
Yeah, and that would be another one too. Like, why not just go right to the poles and just launch from there? Then you don't have to worry about none of that crap.
Yeah. Antarctica is free, you know, I mean, non-claimed region.
That's why when people start talking about orbital mechanics, what they're really trying to do is just make it into some sort of discussion where no one can really understand what they're even talking about.
Right.
You know, it's so far out there in the weeds that, you know, the people doing and what I think is crazy too is like a lot of these rocket scientist people, they're on the spectrum. You know, like they're high functioning autistic, but yet somehow globalists are always making fun of autism. So which one is it? Okay, do you think autism is a disability, or do you think autism people are these rocket scientists that you just seem to have all the answers?
It just they threw you like a lot of mathematical equation and numbers like light years. Man, that's irritates me. You know, when they throw this light years, I just can't imagine that number.
Yeah, what do you think, Wizard? What do you got anything to add to that, or do you feel like this is about what you're looking for?
With respect to the artistic side and what they're able to do,
or were you the one who was talking about the rocket stuff?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. For both then. What about the question A would be, what do you think about this orbital mechanic stuff, and what do you think about rocket scientists being like high functioning autistic?
Well, one thing that I can say for certain is that everybody, and I do mean everybody, is somewhat autistic to a degree, right? Whether you like it or not, it's part of what makes us who we are. The hard part is how much it affects us. It's been documented quite nicely that people who have a balanced amount of issues can really focus in on stuff, but the more focused these particular patterns become, they sacrifice other things like being able to socialize or being able to have a decent conversation in casual, for example. Social cues are missed. Or just pure self-isolation. People who literally just want to lock themselves away and do nothing but read books or experiment with stuff. There's many different levels, right down to the outright hardcore, if you like, where they're literally, their thought process is so basic now, where if they want it, they'll grab it. If somebody says no, they won't listen because they just want it. So there's super many different levels. I myself am dyslexic, and I have been penalised for it for a very long time, and yet there are books out there now that recognise it and see it as a bit of a blessing. Somewhere of a middle ground, depending upon how dyslexic a person is, can be very beneficial for problem-solving thinking. But usually for myself, it's through conversation, visual or physical learning. But if you give me a textbook, I'm like, wow, I cannot read this thing. The words just jump out the page and rearrange themselves. But you give me a complex problem and put it on my desk in front of me, and I'll work my way through it if I fancy it. So when it comes to the autistic side of things and how people are judged, I think there are some very, very smart people out there who can do amazing things that somebody who we would classify as average would not be able to comprehend. But at the same time, these people couldn't comprehend what we take for granted. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I used to do it before all the quarantine stuff happened. I went to a board game group, and there's this guy who is a high functioning, I think Asperger's, not really autistic, but he always had to have a certain color piece if the game offered it. He had to have purple, just by chance anyway, was his color. And if he didn't play with the purple pieces, man, he sucked. I mean, he got the lowest score. He was constantly frustrated. He couldn't focus on the game. But man, if it's a game with purple pieces, he was like all in. It was like you saw this guy like double. I don't know if you're familiar with like cribbage, right? Like double skunk you. He'd be like playing plays within plays within plays. Hustling over here, doing this, finding some rule-breaking mechanic that people didn't even consider. You'd be like, how do you like? It's just like give them the purple pieces.
Henry Winkler, James Earl Jones, both dyslexic.
Yeah, it was Abraham Lincoln. He was dyslexic and read right from through candlelight and taught himself law. Yeah, this idea of neurological normal is like so outside of current understanding of the human brain that it almost stumps me why globalists are so far beyond the curve on these understanding. Yeah, Nathan's got one here too. Like the cursive writing with your left hand. That's really impressive. It's like unlocking parts of your brain that people don't use.
So I'm ambidextrous. I can write with either.
Yeah, you should get with Nathan. He does a lot of that stuff too.
I mean, I only found out how ambidextrous I was when I was doing factory work. I had to assemble by hand loads and loads of little tiny boxes and stuff. And people were struggling like hell. You got to fold them and all this kind of stuff. And I got to a point where I was doing it with my eyes shut. And I was doing 2 at a time, 1 in each hand. And then I thought, you know what? I'll have a go. I'll start writing. And I did it. It just happened. And I was like, okay, that works. And now I can't remember how to pick up my knife and fork because I fight for the fork with both my left and right hand and vice versa. It's weird.
Yeah, that's weird. You left-handed or right-handed?
Originally, originally I was right-handed. Now it's
a false dichotomy. You're begging the question there. Everyone uses both hands. We're just one hand dominant. Okay?
Yeah, that's right.
But the number one cause of stroke or disability in adults is a stroke. And so if you take one hand and tie it behind your back, essentially what you're doing is taking half your brain and turning it off your entire life. Because the left side of the brain runs the right hand, the right hand runs the left side of the brain, and vice versa. So I would recommend everyone start being ambidextrous today. Forced ambidextrous.
Yeah, that boils down to something called neural plasticity. Anybody apparently can do this, but not everybody will find it as easy as others. It depends upon how assertive and how many, whatever it takes, neurons or whatever, that need to be reprogrammed or redistributed in order to be able to do those sorts of tasks.
before it become a habit, right? Because sometimes
it's not so much a habit. It's more of and it's an unconscious act. You see something and you go pick it up. You don't think about it. You just do it. But
right.
Subconsciously, for example, if you pick up an egg, what's to stop you from just picking it up as hard as you can?
Nothing.
You just reach up, and as soon as you touch it, you grab hold of it, but you never break it. But if you see a hammer and it's heavy, so say for example a sledgehammer, right?
Yeah.
Right, and you go to pick that up, you don't worry about breaking it. You just pick it up.
Right.
And as soon as you touch it and try to lift it, not only do you try and pick it up, but you automatically compensate for its center of mass so that it doesn't become too much of a pain on your wrist.
Yeah.
We don't think about it, we just do it. But then when you try to do it with the other hand that you're not used